Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to another Monday morning with a little bit of grit from the city.
Yep, it wouldn't be Monday morning grit without it.
Yeah, or every once in a while it is, I suppose.
Every once in a while.
Yeah. What have you done this week to put some grit in your sandpaper?
Well, we did that show.
We did do a show together. We
at
did a
Craft
fun
Beers.
show.
That was actually a lot of fun.
I think it was technically in Milton.
Auburn, I believe.
Auburn. It was in Auburn.
Yeah.
But that's in the general
That's in our
area.
scope.
That's it. That's still gritty.
Yeah. I mean, I count it, but the thing that stuck with me is I don't know if you've ever been to Craft Beers before.
No, I haven't actually.
But that place is really cool.
It's got the biggest selection of beers in the state or something like that.
So they say.
Yeah.
And it seems like
I didn't look it up to check.
You know, I'll bet Bevmo probably has more, but in terms of
at one location,
probably
wider selection,
or like
it might have more volume.
Yeah, maybe.
But a variety of selection.
Well, the thing that impressed me
about
craft beers is how much of it is local craft beer, right? I think the majority of the selection, which I think was 1,200, 1,300 different beers, was local craft beer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about how many breweries are just in Seattle or just in Tacoma, and each one of them probably does 8 different beers.
Oh, for sure. I mean,
that can add up.
I didn't even know E9 did as many beers as they do. I think I saw 14 or 15 different ones from
just
E9.
At that one spot.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's I'd never heard of a bunch of these before.
Pretty impressive.
I guess that's what happens when you do most of your beer shopping at the grocery store. The grocery store.
They just stock the hits.
You're at the mercy of whoever the alcohol manager is.
Yes.
Spirits manager.
Yeah,
what he likes.
Point. That's a great point. They can probably make their own selections.
Yeah, and granted, I mean, I go to a cool local grocery store and they got a pretty good selection, but
yeah, no complaints.
Craft
sometimes
beers.
It's good to spread your wings and see what's out there.
But yeah, craft beers in Auburn.
Did you get anything while you're there?
I did. I got an E9 beer. I believe it was called Miles Above.
Oh.
I haven't tried it yet. I have 14 different beers inside my refrigerator right now, so
it builds up real easy.
Those might have to wait a little bit. I gotta clear some of the other existing inventory out.
It's funny. I think I was talking to Emmett yesterday, and he's like, "Oh, don't you drink beer? You have all those beers in your fridge." And I'm like, well, not really. I mostly drink soda, which is why I don't have sodas in my fridge. Whatever you don't drink seems to pile up a lot faster than things you do.
Yeah, I feel like you have a pretty good variety in your fridge because every time we have a get together, people drink beers.
Yeah, and there's a good mix match, and well, it's nice to have some around.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely, and that's sort of my mentality too. It's just I think the acquisition of beer has outpaced the consumption of beer.
Yeah, it's like buying books.
Yeah. Yeah, but I actually brought a couple beers if you were interested.
Yeah, no, I'd have a beer.
It's the Seven Seas Blackberry Sour Ale.
Blackberry Sour?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I know sour beers are quite controversial.
Oh, really?
A lot of people don't like them.
Does that make it controversial?
Well, I guess to truly be controversial, a lot of people have to dislike and like something. I like them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I like that. It just comes on as, it's not like a front or a back, it's just one note where
yeah.
It just slides down there easy.
It's,
tastes like blackberry.
Yeah. It says tart, fruity, refreshing on the can. And
I think I'd agree with all that.
I'd agree with that too.
That's really good.
Yeah. No.
That's quite a nice blackberry flavored beverage.
It is. And it uses San Juan Island sea salt in it.
Oh, interesting.
It's part of how they flavor it. So
locally sourced.
It's a cool little tidbit right there.
Right from the Seven Seas themselves.
I wonder. I mean, that's one cool thing about having local breweries is they can also like source like different ingredients and stuff from other sort of local areas or businesses. So you get sort of a one of a kind taste. I mean, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wonder how much it affects it.
I'm not sure like if it matters where the sea salt.
I like on the side of the can it says "You'll like it."
Yeah,
that's smart.
Yeah, I think they put that on all of theirs. It's like Seven Seas.
It says "You'll like it." That's their slogan.
That's their slogan.
You'll like it.
You know,
that's a great slogan.
Well,
I can't knock it.
When you're in the grocery store and there's any doubt in your mind, you just see that.
Would I want one of these? Yeah, I actually think I'd like it.
It's funny. Some of the like craft breweries on their cans. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's a little label that says "Certified Independent Craft."
Oh.
I wonder if that's like sort of a side effect of like a few years ago, Anheuser-Busch was just like gobbling up craft breweries, like buying them all out.
Yes.
Like you'd be
I think they bought Windermere.
Oh, really?
Oh, that might not be true.
They back when I lived in Virginia, they bought out. Is that a cheese grater?
I guess it is. I didn't know what it was.
But anyways, they bought out Devil's Backbone, which was like this cool local craft brewery in Rockbridge County, Virginia. Rockbridge.
Oh.
There's a literal rock bridge, like a natural rock bridge.
Rockbridge, excellent.
But the they got bought out by Anheuser-Busch, and so it's like, well, you're not really an independent.
The managers of Anheuser-Busch were like, Rockbridge, splendid.
Is that a reference?
Yeah, it's Blazing Saddles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They come on a ride and then a romping or whatever.
It's been a while since I've seen that.
Ooh, that's worth a rewatch.
Yeah, for sure. But anyways, this is the Blackberry Sour Ale from Seven Seas. I think they also have it on tap in their tap room in Tacoma.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I was thinking about the Seven Seas. And you know how there's 7 seas and there's 7 continents?
Right.
There's really 6 continents, in my mind.
And there's a lot more seas than 7.
Yeah, and the seas, 7 is a weird... There's weird lines to divide the 7 seas. Like, I could see an argument for 1 sea.
I think it's just the alliteration. That's why they stuck with it.
Exactly. They're like, close enough to 7, we'll count it.
Yeah, but, it's
catchy.
It sounds nice.
It's catchy,
it
I'll
sounds
give it
nice.
that.
It makes for a good name of a brewery.
The 6 seas, that's not as good.
Mm-mm.
The 8 seas.
It's got a nice ring to it, which is why it makes an excellent name for a brewery.
Yeah. Although I think there was Sinbad in the... Did he sail the 7 seas? Sinbad?
He may have.
Yeah, but for some reason I think it was like the 9 seas or something.
Huh. You can't just add 2 extra like that.
I don't know. Yeah, well back then they had more. They didn't know the whole world.
I guess not.
Yeah.
Do you think, who do you think was the guy that, ruined it? Do you think it was ruined for everyone? Like it was
when
7
they connected
seas.
all the seas together into one big one?
It was 7 seas for, the longest time. And one guy's like, hey, I think I found one that's, not on the list.
Or, they had 6 seas, and they're like, I kind of want one more.
Yeah.
This Indian Ocean, I think we can get by calling it its own thing.
Well, that's an ocean. There's 5 of those.
Yes, you're right. What are the seas?
The
Baltic Sea,
the Mediterranean
Sea,
the Black Sea, the Caspian Sea, the Adriatic Sea. You got the
7?
Caspian Sea. There's way more. The South China Sea.
Yeah.
There's a ton.
The Sea of Tranquility.
Perhaps the Salish Sea.
The Salish Sea.
Salish Sea.
From sea to
the Bering Sea. So
yeah,
that's where all those crab disappeared.
That's the counterpart to the Bering Strait.
Correct. But yeah, I mean, lot of seas out there. They're just waiting for you to find them.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I like it.
I like it too. You know, I was listening to NPR.
Mm-hmm. As you do.
I realized I would be a terrible DJ for NPR.
Oh, why would you say that? You just play the same song on repeat?
No, a lot of the older recordings they don't have very good fidelity, right? There's a lot of noise and crackling and popping in the background.
Yeah, I think that's what people like about it sometimes.
I think but they would probably get annoyed because every time I'd put one on, I'd be like, this track sizzles.
Oh.
Because it sounds like
You'd
when you put meat on like a skillet or something like that.
Yeah, it's just crackling.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, that one sizzles.
But isn't that what people like about vinyl?
That is, yeah. But I think I couldn't help myself. I'd always have to mention that it's sizzling.
This one's sizzling.
It's a hot one.
Yeah, but then if they're all hot, then you'd need it would be a remark for an especially sizzly track.
Well, it only happens with the really old, low fidelity ones.
Okay, so it'd be every once in a while you'd bring it out.
Yeah, for sure. But, they all sizzle because we only play the sizzlers on NPR.
Yeah, it's sizzle tracks only. So give me your sizzle reel. Is that what it's called? I think so.
Maybe.
Give me just the sizzle.
Just the sizzle. So, we've talked about the airport before, like the proposed airport.
I was hearing some updates on the airport.
I was hearing some updates too.
What did you hear?
Apparently, the installation, the military base, and the National Park Service are coming out in opposition to all three of the proposed sites in rural Pierce County.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. And the three sites, we talked about those before.
Right.
It's not like there's two.
Two in rural Pierce County.
Yeah.
And then one in rural Thurston County.
That's what I was thinking is the Thurston County one.
Yeah. I saw there's recently been demonstrations at the state capitol, too, against the airport.
Oh, I was going to say in favor of the airport?
No, not in favor. It seems like almost all...
Wait, so the military and the parks don't want the airport?
They have some concerns. They are like, maybe find a different spot, but I don't think they're... I wouldn't say they're strongly opposed, but I would say that they have concerns that would make it less favorable for them.
The military I could understand because they're flying their own planes very frequently.
Yeah, I think the Park Service is just worried about the proximity of some of the proposed airport sites to parks, essentially.
That's fair. Who's in favor of the airport?
I mean, I imagine several,
the airlines?
Oh, well, I imagine, city planners, right, are probably in favor of the airport. Or,
real estate developers.
Business interest developers, stuff like that. The problem is, I think the broader public stands to gain from having another airport down here.
Oh, yeah.
The problem is a lot of the sort of grassroots political activism is coming from the opposition, right?
Yeah. Well, what are we going to do?
Well, I don't know what we really can do right now. I mean...
It's tough out there sometimes.
Could you imagine throwing on a pro-airport demonstration? We want planes. Just chanting, we want planes through the streets.
Want to not have to drive so far to the airport.
The thing is...
Would it even be closer for us?
Not really, but here...
It just wouldn't be as crowded.
Exactly.
For a little while.
Exactly. Well, the thing is, we've talked about this before. Seattle-Tacoma International is, reaching its maximum capacity. We have to build an airport. It's not a matter of if we build an airport. It's when and where we're going to build the airport.
Yes.
And one of the things that's starting to piss me off is the fierce opposition over here is causing developers and planners in Yakima to be like,
no.
You can build the airport here.
Yakima Airport?
I'll be damned if Yakima gets our airport.
Ugh, that would suck so much if you had to go to Yakima to go to the airport. Why would you do that airport?
Well, it's ridiculous because nobody...
Who does that service?
No one. Could you imagine driving over the mountains just to go to the airport? You'd have to be a moron. It only services Yakima.
Yeah, and then you could go to Yakima, I guess.
Yeah, just
fly
from SeaTac to Yakima.
Just be in Yakima with a rental car, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where the problem with local politics, I find, is that you have...
They should build in Federal Way.
Just bulldoze Federal Way and build an airport.
Yeah.
The issue I think you have in local politics is you have these very strong, very active groups that wield a lot of power. And in this case...
What about our listeners? Isn't that an equally powerful, loyal group of followers?
Here's the thing, we know.
We could get them all together to which airport do we want? Did we want the Thurston County
I want
one?
I want the Graham one.
The Graham Airport?
We want the Graham Airport.
All right, let's have all of our loyal listeners just promote the Graham Airport would be great. Tell all your friends.
Yeah, get on TikTok and start dancing for the Graham Airport. The Graham Airport TikTok challenge.
That would be funny.
But the thing that sort of bugs me is like a lot of the opposition brings up environmental concerns, but I think they're
aren't those ubiquitous though?
Well, for sure, but also I don't think they're genuine concerns. I think it's more just like a not in my backyard attitude masquerading as an environmental concern.
Yeah, I guess that's probably, you're going to run into that. That's what makes city planning difficult.
For sure.
You got to work with all the neighbors.
It's certainly not a job I would like.
No. Well, unless it was like you just know that it's going to take forever and it's not going to happen.
You'll die before...
You're like, well, I'll do this job that's not going to happen.
You'll die before the airport, even breaks ground.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I think the Berlin's newest airport, it took them 30 years to build.
Wow.
Yeah, because...
Is it amazing?
It's okay. It would have been amazing 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's not the Singapore airport.
Oh, I've heard the Singapore airport is remarkable.
I flew into the other Singapore airport on accident. I didn't know that I should have gone to the cool one.
That's like when you're flying to Chicago and you think you're going to land at O'Hare, but you end up at Midland, and you're like, this is a really crummy airport.
This airport's not as good as that. Where's the giant fountain?
Yeah. You ever been to the Denver airport?
Yeah, with the big blue thing, that statue of the horse that killed the guy it fell on the guy who created it. That's
crazy. That's such a crazy story. I love that it's got glowing red eyes.
Oh yeah, it's evil
of all things. But yeah, I mean, so I was reading an op-ed piece in the Tacoma News Tribune, and it was basically like, the airport's almost inevitable. An airport,
it has to be.
An airport will be built, but
the thing is, so I was in south of Tumwater, and there is a Tumwater airport, and that's where I'd put it.
Just expand the Tumwater.
The Tumwater airport. It's not nearly big enough right now, but it's at least got to be a foot in the door. Take an existing airport and just expand it.
They've probably looked at that. I wonder why they haven't. I mean, I'm sure they've looked into that as an option, but
yeah. Nah, maybe I'm the most clever person.
You're the most clever person.
Nobody else really thought about it.
Somebody's going to listen to this and they're like,
wait a second.
They're like, my God.
If only I'd considered it. Use an existing airport.
Yeah, honestly, at this rate, I'm not expecting an airport in the next 4 decades. At the rate things are going, but
things are moving faster and faster every year.
You think so?
Yeah.
I feel like it's in the spirit of Tacoma to have this airport. We're the city of destiny.
It does seem like we should be an airport city.
We should be. I mean, we sort of got an airport.
We got the second half of an airport.
Well, have you seen they're pushing us out of the branding? It's SEA International now.
Yeah, I did see that.
They're technically, by Port Commission rules, not allowed to remove Tacoma from the name, so it's just in a little tiny tagline under the airport logo.
We know.
But we're going to get another airport. We're going to get an airport and a half.
Yeah,
but
that'll be nice.
Maybe like an airport and 3/4.
I hope it's connected to the light rail.
Oh, it has to be. It has to be. If you don't connect it to...
But that's the thing, is like, we got to build the light rail and the airport.
Right. Well, like I said, I don't think the
It's
airport's
so far
happening
away.
anytime soon.
I bet it happens in 20 years.
You know what's crazy? DuPont has the tracks for the sounder to stop in DuPont.
Uh-huh.
But service there is not going to open for like another decade because they don't have funding for the station to like actually build the station.
Oh, that's stupid.
And the crazy thing to me is, didn't we just pass this massive like $1 trillion infrastructure bill at the federal
Well, yeah, and
government?
what does a station cost? They don't even have to build a bathroom at it. They don't even need to put plumbing in.
No, they just need to build a little roof over it so people don't get rained on.
They don't even technically need to build it.
They don't need to build it, but I wonder if it's parking. That's the issue.
Yeah, you're right.
There's like a minimal parking requirement.
That's definitely what it is now that you mention it. Stupid parking.
Stupid fucking cars and stupid fucking parking.
I guess you gotta get there, so.
Yeah, you do. Take the bus. Then they gotta build the bus parking.
Yeah, get the bus station over.
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. I mean, the light rail not coming into Tacoma until like 2036. It's like, come on, it's right over in Federal Way. You can't build it 5 more miles.
We went to the moon in 1 year. Well, I guess depending on when you started.
I wonder if it's a funding issue or a right-of-way issue.
Actually, now that I think about it, how long between the creation of NASA did it take for us to get to the moon? It's got to have been a few years.
Yeah, it wasn't that long. NASA was, 59, I think?
Okay.
Yeah, and then the moon
was 69.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
That's not long at all.
That's not very long.
But, anyways, speaking of... Now, this moves a little bit out of our usual scope. Mm-hmm. Talking still on the topic of aircraft and air travel. Mm-hmm. The last 747 that'll ever be built was delivered on Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Who got it?
Atlas Air.
Okay.
They're the largest owned operator of 747s in the world. I think they have 36 or 37 of them.
That's quite a few.
Yeah, yeah.
Why no more?
Nobody wants to. No one wants to buy them. It's not that they suck. It's just like the 777 is more efficient.
It's cooler.
I don't know if it's cooler. I mean,
everybody likes it better. It's easier to remember the name.
I think the 747 is a much more memorable plane overall, though.
Really? You think the 47 that's the landmark to you?
I mean,
the 7 class.
They don't call it the Queen of the Skies for nothing.
Oh, really? That's its nickname.
Yep.
That's a pretty good nickname.
Skies.
Queen of the Skies.
Yeah, I mean, it's just got such a distinct look because you have that second, the upper lounge, right? Very distinct look, and it was like a wide body passenger aircraft that was also built with freight in mind. And it completely revolutionized like air travel.
Freight. And now nobody needs freight.
Actually, a lot of people need freight. That's why 747s were still being built up until this day.
What's the big freight plane nowadays then?
747 is still pretty big, but it seems like all the new orders are going to be 777s. Or probably like Airbus A350s if they make those into freighters. I don't think anybody really buys the 380 for freight. The Airbus A380, which I guess people call that the Beluga.
Yeah, I've seen it. It does have a weird nose to it.
It does. I mean, I feel
pointed off of a big body.
Yeah. But it's interesting. Like, I guess this is kind of the end for 4-engine wide-body aircraft.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, because I think Airbus is done with the A380.
What do they do? Five engine now?
2.
Oh.
Yeah, just twin engines. Same thing with Boeing. I mean, it's just going to be twin engines from here on out. All the tri-jets are pretty much getting phased out too. I mean, not that I don't know. I think Lockheed, or maybe not Lockheed, but McDonnell Douglas was making tri-jets up until like maybe the mid 2000s, and then those are getting phased out too.
What about all the Octos?
The Octos, I don't know if I've ever seen an 8-engine plane.
That'd be cool.
Well, a B-52.
Oh, yeah?
B-52 is a
It's got 8 engines.
Yep, 8 engines.
That's sick.
Yeah, yeah. I actually saw a
It's my
KC
favorite plane.
B-52.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are pretty sweet. They've been flying since Vietnam, and I think they're
If it ain't broke.
and I think they're going to continue to be in service until 2050.
Wow.
It's a long time.
That is a long time. They must serve a practical purpose.
There used to be a 10-engine plane called the
What?
I think the B-36 Peacemaker. It had 6
Peacemaker?
Yeah, 6 turbo propellers and 4 jet engines.
Wow.
For a total of 10.
Well, that's how it could go really fast? Or because it was really
It could
big?
go really far, and it was really big.
far.
It was one of the first strategic bombers that could deliver nuclear weapons to another continent.
Did it ever do it?
No. Didn't need to,
But
thankfully.
it could have.
It could have.
Ever wanted to.
Yeah, but that's a cool plane too. But yeah, I figured I'd talk about that since aviation and Boeing is still a big part of the area, and I think a lot
when we watch the planes go by, I keep seeing these really big planes go flying down the street.
The C-17s.
I don't know. Let me show you a little video of it because I can pull it up real quick.
Okay.
But you ever see a plane and it's flying the path towards you, it's on the you're
you're
driving
on
on
its
a road
approach.
north to south and it's going south to north or whatever. Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah, let me see what you got.
Here we go.
Oh yeah, that's a C-17.
There we go, C-17.
Which I guess is also a quad jet.
Yeah, you can see all 4 of them.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
Yeah, it was a big one.
Yeah. I see those a lot at Old Town. I mean, it's almost like a Tacoma thing, right? Seeing those C-17s flying in the air.
What are they doing?
So over at JBLM,
Mm-hmm.
it's I think 625th Air Mobility Command.
Mm-hmm.
So basically they just haul supplies for the Air Force or the armed forces in general around, or they move personnel too. So
Oh, okay.
sort of like
They're just moving stuff around.
think of it as like a military airline.
Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, no, it's really cool to watch them, and they're like sports cars. They're big, but from what I've heard, I've talked to a pilot that flies them. It's just like a little joystick, and it's very reactive. You could do some crazy maneuvers with them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and they're quick, with the 4 engines, so they're really cool. I love watching them. So moving on.
Yeah, so we were going to do, I think we were talking about a little monument for this episode.
Oh, Cheney Stadium?
We were thinking about talking a little bit about Cheney Stadium. Because it is kind of crazy how nice of a stadium it is.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching this thing that was a ranking of minor league baseball stadiums in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in the top 10.
It's an amazing stadium.
It holds it's 6,000 people, 6,500, something like that. And it doesn't feel, it feels like there's a good amount of people there, but it's not, it's nice.
Yeah, well, no matter where you sit,
that's
I feel like you have a good view of the action, right? And there's great facilities.
It's not just big metal bleachers and...
Exactly. And I think it has really good facilities, whether it's the concessions or the shops or the bathrooms.
And the parking is really big. I guess they share it with the school that's right next door. So then when school is out, it's it's so annoying when places just have bad parking.
Yeah.
And I feel like it'll never have bad parking, that place.
No. Except the one complaint I do have is the parking spots are a little small for the kinds of people
if you got a big truck.
Got a big truck, yeah, you're not going to fit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I got a small truck, so I'm fine.
You got to know your market, right?
Yeah.
Plenty of people have trucks around here.
But it is cool. It is very in the center of Tacoma, and sometimes I can even when you drive, you can hear the game in the distance. I always like that.
Or the fireworks too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, and they have other types of events there too, but it's just one of those things that I kind of drive by and take for granted. And I've only been there one time, like a long time ago. But it's one of those things that I bet, everybody who listens to this when they drive by, they're like, I should go to a game one time. And then you just never really do.
Yeah, for a while I was actually going to them pretty regularly.
Oh, yeah?
They're so much fun, and they're pretty affordable, actually.
Yeah, like how much for a ticket? Like $15 or something like that?
I paid like $20, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like Tuesdays, it's $2 beers or something like that.
Yeah. Or they'll have like seltzer Saturdays. It's really cheap seltzers.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's just like they have like the bars and lounges too, which are kind of cool. I don't know if you've been to any like the bars or like lounges in the stadium.
I don't really recall it that well, but there's like enough you can walk around. And there's a little bit of things to go see.
Yeah, and like
you're not just stuck in your seat watching baseball for 9 hours.
Exactly.
9 innings.
Yeah, and that's pretty good considering that baseball is a slower sport, if you will.
Yeah.
You can get up and go do something and
It's a good sport to be on your phone a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say read a newspaper, but people don't really do that much anymore.
Do you ever... I remember us talking about you were thinking of subscribing to the Tacoma Tribune.
Tacoma News Tribune. TNT.
Yeah, did you waylay that dream?
I have to... I want to...
Confess?
Not confess, but here's my thing. If I'm going to subscribe to another thing, I want to cancel a subscription. Now, the person...
What are you going to get? What's on the chopping block?
On the chopping block is Hulu, right?
Okay.
Well, we cut out Netflix. That was a while ago.
Uh-huh.
Hulu's on the chopping block. However...
Would the Tacoma News Tribune replace Hulu? That's a big those are big shoes to fill.
Well, here's the problem, right? Sometimes, when you're dating, sometimes it's like, you want to hang out at my place? And what do they want to do?
Yeah, you gotta have Hulu.
They want to watch TV, even if it's just background noise, right?
Exactly.
You can't, newspapers, not background noise.
The newspaper's not gonna...
It's like, you want to read the newspaper
together? You want a newspaper
together?
and chill? Do the crossword together?
Yeah, I wonder if the crossword's any good.
Oh, in the Tacoma Tribune?
Yeah.
You better hope so.
I guess I kind of have cable. I have an Xfinity account, which allows me to watch, cable channels. So
that's
you'd
nice.
be like, you want to watch, I don't know...
Whatever's on.
First 48 on A&E.
That's probably what they like anyway.
I feel like they don't like the first 48 very much.
No, that's not a great one.
No. If there was a show about serial killers, I feel like a lot of...
Yeah, like a topical one or something.
I feel like women dig serial killers right now.
Oh yeah, I'm against them.
Yeah, I'm anti-serial killer.
Yeah,
too.
I don't think they're cool. I think
No.
they suck mostly. They're mostly... Well, I'm somewhat surprised there aren't more of them. But the ones that do seem to exist they're kind of the bottom of the barrel.
I just
they've given up in a strange way.
There's a part of me where I'm just like, so what?
Yeah, right?
Big deal.
Of course someone killed another someone.
You didn't do anything incredible, right?
Well,
I mean, incredibly evil and sure, but I mean,
in one way, it's maybe the most remarkable act a human can achieve.
Killing another human being.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But it doesn't, not in a good way.
No, not in a good way. But it is remarkable.
Yeah, I guess I'll give it that.
Someone will have a remark about that event.
Someone will be like, oh my.
Oh my.
At the very least, you gotta give it oh my.
But yeah, to dial it back to Cheney Stadium, though, those games are just so much fun. Right? Because they got those little sort of side shows going on.
Oh yeah, enough to keep it going throughout the innings.
Whether it's having mascots running around the bases, or they're giving out toothbrushes.
Yeah, or I think they do a 50-50 raffle, or
the hype man for the Tacoma Rainiers. He I think I saw him as a judge once for a comedy competition at Nate Jackson's.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I ran into him in the bathroom and I was like, have I seen you before? You look very familiar. And he was like, oh, I'm the hype man for the Tacoma Rainiers. You know what would have been cooler, though? If he was like, nah, you probably don't.
Nah, it seems very unlikely you'd recognize me from any of my professional endeavors.
The mayor was there, too. She was one of the judges.
In the bathroom?
Not in the bathroom, no. But could you imagine the judge panels in the bathroom?
That would be quite the bathroom.
That would be... I feel like...
A star-studded bathroom.
That would be probably some sort of legal violation. But anyways, for this comedy competition at Nate Jackson's, they had the hype man for the Tacoma Rainiers, and the mayor was there too. Although I think the mayor sort of had... you know, like how some politicians have like a handler with them to make sure they don't say some dumb shit.
Yes.
And it's not that I think the mayor would do that, but when you're judging a comedy show, like you're being teed up.
Know.
You're being teed up to say something offensive. Which she did say some funny stuff, but I bet she probably vetted it. Like it's like, is it okay if I make this little
thing over here or not?
Can I make some jokes about drugs, or is that not okay? Is that in poor taste?
Well, you never know what'll get you canceled in what world.
Yeah. Could you imagine canceling a mayor? Like, that's so fucking lame, dude.
Yeah. I know a guy who got canceled from his biker gang for making a joke about having sex with a chicken.
Ah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yep. Me too. Actually,
you never know what'll get you.
Me too. But yeah, we should go when the season starts back up. We should go.
Yeah, I can't wait for the world to start getting warmer again. I'm finally tired of the cold. I've had enough.
Yeah, especially like last weekend was pretty chilly.
Yeah, if it could just get 10 degrees warmer, I'd really appreciate it.
That would be nice. And I like that the days are getting longer.
That's a huge plus.
That's why the solstice is such a big celebration.
Big plus in my book. So you got any other Tacoma-related topics for us on the chopping block today?
What do you think of compulsory voting?
Ooh, well, I know they do it in Australia.
Because there's a bill in the state legislature right now that has support among the Democrats, which are the majority in the state legislature, that would make voting compulsory in Washington, D.C. And the sponsor for it in the House of Representatives is actually a representative based here in Tacoma.
Wow.
Yeah. I had her name written down.
That's very interesting. It'll be compulsory federal voting or state voting?
For all elections, like compulsory that you must return a ballot. If everybody who's eligible must register to vote, and you must return your ballot.
Interesting. Or else what?
That's the interesting question. There's no punishment under the bill. So It's not really compulsory voting, if you ask me.
Okay. Send me to prison.
But
I'm not gonna vote.
The representative,
I'll never vote.
Representative Scarlett Mena, she's a Democrat, represents part of Tacoma. But she introduced a bill in the House. A senator, a different senator, introduced it in the Senate. I don't remember who he was or what district he represented. But the thing is, when you don't have a punishment, is it really compulsory voting?
I completely agree. What do you think the punishment should be? What would be a fair punishment?
I don't think compulsory voting is. I don't think it's a great idea.
Why not? More stupid people vote?
Well, it's people. I wouldn't say stupid, but I would say apathetic. People who are apathetic.
More people who don't really care about the issues.
Yeah.
People are like, I guess I'll just check the mark for the person who has the funny sounding name.
But it's like, it's like another civic duty that you have to keep on your list. Not that the other ones really bug your life that much, but registering for the draft, jury
duty is much more substantial in my mind. But it's also, I don't know, I think it's I like having some civic duties. I think it's good a little bit.
Duty... Yeah, I mean, civic duties are
like
probably...
I'm almost in favor of like mandatory conscription.
Yeah, that's
like how Israel or Singapore or Taiwan or whatever, they all do it.
Yeah.
And like for a year you serve, but the military does just like a very broad type of tasks.
I mean, that's an interesting question. I think
it's
worth
country for a year.
Worth discussing, but I kind of want to bring it back to compulsory voting.
Yes.
Another issue I have with it is, so you've created this civic duty, but like at least under this sort of format, like the idea is to get more people engaged, right? Mm-hmm. But Washington is actually pretty engaged already.
What are our numbers? What do we do, like 60%?
Usually for like midterms, it's going to be like in the 60s or 70s. But when it's a presidential election, I think we get like something like 90% registration.
Really?
Yep.
That's crazy. That's way higher than I would have expected.
Yeah. The other thing I don't like about compulsory voting is, are you familiar with sort of voter fatigue?
Yes.
I think one problem we run into is, especially in Washington, if you look at especially local ballots, you have so many different positions,
and it's like all of the judges and all of the
Metro Parks Commission, the Port Commission.
If you forget to check one box, you get thrown in the brig.
I think they're going to allow blank ballots, like you can return your ballot
submit it unvoted.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
But the thing is,
what I'm going to do then.
I think there's other more organic ways we can improve voter turnout. And one of those is trying to combat voter fatigue. I think there's certain positions in the government that should be appointed by elected officials. Like the Metro Parks Commission, I don't understand why that has to be elected, right?
Or like any judge position. I feel like they shouldn't be elected, really.
Right. Or even a sheriff, right? Mm-hmm. I don't think a sheriff should be elected.
We've seen the example of Ed Schroeder right in front of ourselves, you know?
The worst thing is, when you have an elected sheriff, the only way to remove them is basically a recall vote.
With the governance of an election.
And that's why King County made it so that the sheriff's position is appointed now instead of elected.
Well, that was smart of them.
I think so too. I'm
glad they were able to get that done.
But I wanted to bring up an interesting stat. So remember, our last presidential election, we had 90% registration in Washington, and I think 84% returns. Mexico has compulsory voting, but there's no punishment for not returning your ballot. Okay. You know what they had their last federal election? 54%.
Interesting.
So, if you have compulsory voting and there's no punishment, I really don't think it's going to change anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to compare those two things because, like, there's so many other factors.
There are.
As to, like, what they're, like, before they changed it, what were the attitudes about voting?
For sure.
You know, or, like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, is it really a problem that needs to be changed? Are we worried, like, the people who are being elected aren't representative of what the people really want?
I don't think so. I think it's one of those things where the Democrats think they might be able to squeeze some more votes out by making compulsory voting because
our people don't vote as much. They dilute themselves.
The Republicans
they get out the vote.
Fiercely opposed to compulsory voting.
Oh, okay. So they have to take the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I would too if I was a Republican, right? Like, because like I don't think it's any secret the Democrats are doing this because they think they can get more votes out of it.
Yeah, right. Because you got to think that like the dregs of society were the people who weren't voting and who like who would most likely vote Democrat, right?
Right, or even if I don't know how they're going to vote, the fact that the Democrats are pushing this would lead me to believe they think it gives them an advantage that I don't want them to have.
Exactly.
So, We'll follow this
We'll
one.
see how it falls out. Maybe we'll all be voting together next year.
If it does pass, I think 2026 would be the first election that would be compulsory.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it takes a while. You got to get used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Pierce County used to have ranked choice voting?
Really? That's kind of cool.
Yep, and then they got rid of it. Went back to.
It's too complicated.
I think the rollout was a bit of a disaster.
Mm.
I feel like if you're going to change voting systems, especially when you go from like a sort of a single-member district, first past the post, to, although we're not quite entirely that format, but if you go to something completely different, like ranked choice voting, I think you got to be careful with how your rollout goes, and especially in terms of like educating voters and making sure that they understand like how ranked choice voting operates and how it can be advantageous to them or it's still fair, right? I think if you don't understand how a voting system works and then it gets changed to it, I think
that can be dangerous.
You'd obviously view it with suspicion.
Very suspicious.
But that's really all I had to talk about in terms of Tacoma news.
I think that's great. I think we've given a good coverage of some past and future Tacoma problems and solutions.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting things going on right now.
Not a lot of... We usually try to do some events going forward, looking forward to the next week, but I think mostly next weekend it's Super Bowl related.
Yeah, like if I were an event planner, I would not put anything on Super Bowl weekend.
So, I think I'm rooting for the Chiefs. And
I think I will too.
Well... Go Chiefs then, and for no real reason other than I like the Chiefs. Yeah.
I did see. Did you see that the ballet is
Oh, I did see. I think the only ballet I've ever been to is the Nutcracker.
I think that's the one everyone's been to. Like, that's their Super Bowl, right? Or not even their Super Bowl. Like those obscure sports nobody gives a shit about until the Olympics are on and then everybody cares about it.
Yes.
That's the Nutcracker is the Olympics for ballet. Because, like, I don't know.
That's the one everyone knows.
Exactly. And, like...
When you, go to it when you're in school.
We're not a big ballet country. People don't like ballet that much.
We're not a big ballet
We're not a big ballet
That's a great way to put America. We're not really big on ballet over here.
No, we're not. Russia, they like ballet.
They love ballet
ballet
in Russia.
Big deal over there.
Oh, my goodness. They can't get enough of it.
Not a very big deal over
We
there.
don't even care about it a little bit.
No, everybody just knows the Nutcracker.
It is coming to town, though.
Mm-hmm.
So get your pen out and mark a calendar.
Yeah, I think, what is it, the 11th?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's at the Rialto or the Pantages. Well, they're right next door to each other.
Yeah, if it's not at one, it's at the other one.
Yeah, you'll get there. You'll get there. But yeah, I wouldn't. Do you think are they all ballerinas? If you're a man, are you a ballerina or are you a ballerina?
Are you a ballero? Yeah, that's a great question. I actually don't know.
I thought barista was a gendered word. Like barista was a woman and a man was a barista. They're all baristas.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're all ballerinas.
Yeah, I thought they were barristers.
Ah.
That's not true. I didn't think so. It's a close word.
But do you think like the ballerinas get a little frustrated? They're like, why do they only like the Nutcracker? There's so much great ballet out there.
What about the Russian thing for the guy?
Yeah.
What about Fosse?
Fosse?
Yeah, I don't think he was even a guy.
Baryshnikov?
Yeah,
Did he die from HIV?
I actually don't even know. I know so little about ballet.
I think we all know so little about ballet, except for, of course,
the Nutcracker.
The Nutcracker.
Yeah, I like the 4 songs of the different cultures.
I got invited to a hip hop Nutcracker.
Oof.
And
did you go?
No, I did not.
You didn't partake.
Because it's hip hop dance, but not quite hip hop music.
Oh, they did they? You mean they changed the?
They changed the dance style.
The Tchaikovsky.
Yeah. Well,
I think it is.
I think the music was modified a bit, but I think it's the dance was hip hop dance, right, instead of traditional ballet.
I like Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky's great. Although I feel like classical music appreciators are like, everybody loves Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, but I think they still say he's great.
Of course. One of the best.
Yeah.
But
right up there with Rachmaninoff.
I mean, the man brought cannons to the show.
Yeah,
could you imagine you're at the symphony and the percussion section just wheels some cannons in, and it's like, this seems a bit excessive.
Although it doesn't take a very large cannon to make a very large noise.
No.
My uncle's got a cannon that's just like a little 3-foot cannon, 2.5 foot cannon. I've heard stories that it's very loud.
When I went to where I went to school, we had a little cannon. Its name was Little John.
Oh,
it was very loud.
There you go. That black powder will get you.
You gotta have special paperwork, I think, with the ATF too, for Little John.
I can believe it.
His frame was built by prisoners.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a legend.
It's wicked.
Yeah, we call him Big John.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the furniture at the school was built by
prisoners. Yeah,
prisoners.
Prisoners of war.
No, not prisoners of war.
Oh.
Not over at Gitmo. Local prisoners, actually.
Oh,
it was locally sourced prison labor. But it was called Little John because there was a Big John. Well, Big John was just called John. They had
Big John.
They had four cannons, actual like real like cannons built for war. And they were named after the 4 Gospels.
Oh.
Yeah.
That seems divine.
Quite. But, yep, ballet's in town if you're interested. I think I'm doing a show at Coco Joe's on
nice.
Saturday.
Oh,
so, yeah, hopefully that goes well.
Heck yes.
I think, is that in Auburn?
I'm not sure exactly where it is.
I think it's in Auburn. What's with Auburn?
Auburn's really been representing lately with their love of comedians.
Been popping off with the comics and the beer.
I think it's like, well, we don't want to go to Fife, so we'll go to Auburn.
Nobody wants to go to Fife.
Unless you're going through.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then I guess we can wrap it up and say have a good afternoon.
Yeah, and see you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
All right.